I don't even know what this name is. I think it's Hebrew. I don't know. Can you hear me? Do you have a microphone?
Yeah, I have. You hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, Rich, how you doing?
Good. How you doing,
Can
man?
can you see me? I don't
No,
have my camera.
no.
I
Your
don't
camera's
know.
either off or you got the cover on your lens.
I don't know how to get it on.
Don't worry
But
about it.
good to be on the show. I'm a long time listener. I read your book. I read all of Rollo's 5 books.
Mhm.
Recently unplugged, like from March area.
Okay.
And
Okay. So what do you
I'm
got for me
what you
tonight?
might. I have 2 questions. I'm
Hmm.
what you might call unplugged beta. I'm trying to kill the beta and become more alpha.
Hmm.
Um, the name is Nick, by the way.
Nick. Okay.
Uh, yeah, and I recently, like 2 months ago, I dated a girl, and I got out of the relationship with two main questions.
Hmm.
The first one is how do I maintain frame in the relationship? Because I feel like I only get bits of answers, and there's more to it. I know I made a lot of mistakes, but I still feel like there's stuff to be learned there. So that's the first question.
So, like the whole thing with frame in a relationship is it starts from the very beginning. She has to enter your frame. She has to be on board on your plan from the get go. It's not something that you modify later on down the road. If you do it right, then you should be able to maintain frame throughout the entire relationship. For those that are watching that don't know what that is, in every relationship, one person enters the other person's frame. He either enters her frame or she enters his frame. What generally happens is early on, women enter his frame, but as they move forward and she has the talk and does the whole where do we stand sort of conversation, and he says fine, let's be boyfriend girlfriend, and they start dating and visiting family and they do holidays together and dinners and all that sort of stuff. He tends to go through betatization through 1,000 concessions, and then he starts to lose frame. So his frame is no longer the dominant frame in the relationship. So
The
to
the the
you, sorry.
the thing is, I went in the relationship with a frame,
Mm-hmm.
with like relatively strong one, and
Mm-hmm.
then I got really confused when she started overtly addressing subjects like relationship equality and I'm into I should get to do this thing too, and like she starts overly talking about subjects that are complementary versus equality, and I just didn't know how to respond or
You're
react to
gonna get
that.
that though, dude. Like you're gonna get most modern women today. Where do you live, by the way?
Israel.
Okay, so I mean, this happens everywhere in the world. You're gonna get most modern women today. Like I said, put men through betatization through 1,000 concessions. It starts with basic stuff like don't brush your teeth over there. You're going to get toothpaste on the carpet, or make sure you put your white socks in the white hamper and your dark socks in the dark hamper. But then they start pushing into other areas too, right? Like they'll start talking about political opinions, they'll start talking about equality, they'll start complaining about things like why women get paid less than men for doing the exact same job. And most guys will just start to let that slide or they don't say anything. The thing that you got to remember about frame is it's a thing that you have to maintain, right? It's about your only job. And if you're able to deal with those things as they come up and they're small, like, when it starts with don't brush your teeth over there, you're going to get toothpaste on the carpet. Like I said, you just kind of look over your shoulder, amuse mastery, and you carry on doing what you're already doing because it's your house or whatever. You've got cleaners that come and clean anyway. It doesn't matter, but you don't acknowledge these little shit tests to try to get you to comply into her frame. She's not doing it intentionally. It's not like she gets up in the morning, Nick, and goes, right, I'm going to betatize this guy. I'm going to make him my little bitch. I'm going to make sure that I shit test him and I'm going to try to get him into my frame. They have no idea what they're doing. They just do it because they're women, right? And they need to competency test guys to make sure that you're the best that they can get. So as you start to get softer and you comply more with her, then you're going to enter into her frame more. You're going to start going to her events more. You're going to start agreeing to buy things and spend your financial resources on things that are on her agenda. You're going to start moving your stuff into a man cave and not have, your house as your castle. It's like, then you sequester to some dark corner of the house. And it's with each one of these little concessions that a little bit of your frame is given up and she takes it from you. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
and I understand that it wasn't so much concessions as
mhm.
it was like discussions that I didn't know how to exit or not to enter when
Well,
she talks about these subjects overtly.
yeah. So you just don't agree with her. I don't care. I don't agree with you. Or like, give me an example, so we can deal with it that way to make it more relevant to you.
Like an example, okay, like let me think. Like when I told her about my none particular example comes to mind, but it was always her. She always said like, I should get to do that too. I
Like what?
feel like I don't know, like stuff that I did or said, and she said, women need to have that right too, or that kind of stuff. And
Give me the
I can't.
example of what the right is that she's looking for that you have that she also wants.
I don't remember. It was like specific moments in the relationship, but I got your overall point.
Okay,
And
well, let's use like this example then, because this is a common one that a few people have probably heard already. Well, if you get to go out with your friends, then I want to get to go out with my friends to the nightclubs and bars too. Okay. Well, men and women are different. We have different sexual strategies. We have different desires. Women are at risk, in certain areas of their lives that men aren't at risk at. Like one of the arguments that you could make is, okay, well, if you think that men and women are equal, the next time you hear a bang in the night, you get up out of bed and you go downstairs and you deal with it, and I'll stay here, right? But
yeah,
they can't go and, like it's not an a la carte menu. Like I'm going to take this when it's convenient for me, but when I hear a bang in the night or the window is smashed, then Nick has to go deal with it because I'm the girl, right?
yeah, yeah,
So they can't have it on terms that they feel comfortable with that work for them. You have to put your foot down and say, no, it doesn't work that way. And you have to be okay with basically something like a soft next to correct the behavior, which is something ideally that you do before you guys start living together or start running into these problems. Or what's another way that you can deal with it? Just a lot of guys like to create drama, right? Like there's this theme of, there's this notion that these women are manufacturing drama in a relationship because there's an absence of it. So they want to fight with you over something like, well, if you do that, then I want to be able to do that too, sort of thing. It's like, no, I don't date women that behave that way. Well, what do you mean?
yeah,
I,
yeah, I
I
get
just
it.
told you exactly what I mean. I don't date women that behave that way, right? And then you just leave the ball in their court. And if they carry on trying to behave that way, or they want to continue to act that way, then you have to introduce consequences. And that might be breaking up with her. It might be a soft next. There might be any number of ways that you got to handle it. But I've said this many times, guys, like dealing with women on a long-term basis is going to be harder than just spinning plates and just dating, because when they misbehave, you can put your foot down. You've got other options. You can go off doing your own thing. You can hang out with your bros. She doesn't live in your house. She's not your girlfriend. You can do whatever you want. Women will stress test the relationship when you're in an LTR frequently. I mean, they're called shit tests, and
Yeah,
they're going to do it. And it's going to be work for you to maintain them and have them come back into your frame in that relationship, right? It's just a part of life, right? Like, look, I'm in an LTR. My girl shit tests me from time to time. I have to play these games too. Like, hey, welcome to the world.
yeah. Okay, I had a second question, Rich. This
Mm-hmm.
one's a quick one.
Yeah.
As I said, because I was unplugged and I saw all the mistakes I did live, but didn't know how to handle most of them, she eventually probably smelled the beta, and that's why she broke up with me. The
Mm-hmm.
thing is, in that moment, I asked why, and she said, I prefer to keep the reason to myself. I don't feel like I owe it to you. And it's the second time a girl breaks up with me without telling me why. And I wanted to ask your opinion about getting the reason out of her. Is she even going to tell me something useful, like from the
No.
female experience?
No, she's probably going to lie to you anyway. Like when a guy breaks up with a girl and then they ask why, they often get that sort of response. Well, I don't owe it to you, or it's none of your business, or I don't want to talk to you. The funny thing is that when a guy breaks up with a girl, she wants endless meetings, text messages, emails, coffees to sort of reconcile all the fucked up shit that's going on in her head. And most guys give it to them, right? So that's one of the big differences, between men and women. All that you got to know is that her genuine desire that she's had from you has been removed, and it's generally going to be removed. She doesn't see you as boyfriend material, husband material, whatever, dating type of material. Circumstances have changed, and it's generally because you've let your frame go, and you've handed her the keys to the relationship. Men lead, women follow. As soon as men start giving women the keys to the relationship, they start sitting in the passenger seat of the car and they let her drive, sort of thing. Like all of these minutiae, like all of these tiny little areas where guys make these small concessions add up over time. And then she eventually will develop some sort of mindset like, fuck him, I don't owe him an answer. we're done. And then she's just going to go and repeat the same cycle with another guy over again and beta tie some other dude, and she's probably going to end up in the same spot. So there's little things that you can do along the way. Like one of the things that I just mentioned is when you drive anywhere, you make sure you drive the car, even if it's her car. She sits in the passenger seat. When I go out, if my girlfriend's car is parked behind mine and we have to take her car, she doesn't even think about sitting in the driver's seat. She's sitting in the car waiting for me in the passenger seat. I get in the car, I drive the car. It's not even a conversation, right? So these are things that you establish early on in the relationship. You don't like, it's very, very hard to get the frame back later on in the relationship when you've been dating for a while and you start to hand her the keys to things, right? Like you have to deal with it early on and you have to maintain it.
The weird part is we only dated for like a month and a half, and I was her first. She was a 23-year-old virgin in the beginning, and up until the end, she was madly like pleasing me and cooking and pleasing me in the bedroom. And like 4 days before this telephone call happened, when she said, "I don't owe you a reason," 4 days prior to that, we still had great, amazing all-night sex. So it was really surprising, like how quickly she went from that to that.
Usually women that go from hot to cold very, very quickly, they have abandonment issue. Here it's the first, I think it's the first red flag in my book on 20 red flags. Let me just kind of recap it because I haven't gone through this
She
in a while.
has all green flags, like I didn't find a single red one.
Well, I can tell you right now, if she's going from hot to cold very, very quickly, it's in the first red flag, daddy issues.
Well, that's like a half red
It's
flag she
usually
told me about.
it's tied into borderline personality disorder. Women that go from hot to cold, like if she goes from extremely hot, smoking hot sex to like the next day, I don't owe you shit. That's a bad sign. That's generally tied into BPD.
It was like the only half red flag I found. She told me that when she was very little, her father abused her, her sister, and her mother, and then the mother and the father got divorced. And during the 15 years since then, they repaired the relationship, and now she has a great relationship with her father. I even met her father. So it was like a very tiny half red flag that I
You said that
didn't.
she didn't see her father for 15 years?
No, I said in the 15 years after her father and mother got divorced, they since repaired the
Okay,
relationship,
but
and
she grew up without a father.
she grew up with her mother. Yeah, her
Yeah.
father came around a lot, but
Yeah, did you read my
they
book,
weren't
dude?
very.
I think you said that you read it.
I read it. Yeah.
20 red flags. The first one is daddy issues. One of the things that's tied into daddy issues is abandonment, not having a father in her life growing up. For 15 years, she didn't have a father growing up. She goes from hot to cold. That's one of the telltale signs of borderline personality disorder. I'm not saying that, she had it or she didn't have it. I'm not a clinical guy that can diagnose it. But what I'm saying is if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably going to be a duck, right? Now, set that aside. That doesn't matter. Probably the real reason why things went sideways is again because like viewed the relationship and the way things went is because you gave her the keys to the relationship. You entered her frame. But that was only a month and a half. That's a very short type of relationship. Like that's really dating. That's not a relationship, generally speaking.
Yeah, I just fell into a relationship status. She went very strategically about this. Like
Mhm.
4 days in, while we're between rounds of sex, she's like caressing my dick and ask, "Can I tell people I have a boyfriend now?" And I made the mistake of telling yes. I just fell into it, and that was a big frame. Let go probably on the get-go.
How long were you dating before she said, "Can I tell people that I have a boyfriend now?"
It was 4 days, and we were in bed when
4 days.
yeah.
Yeah. You should probably read my book and spend some more time. Yeah, you're right. Like you're describing the characteristics and traits of a unplugged beta male. A lot of guys that are new to what I'm talking about, to unplugging from the matrix and getting these concepts squared away in their head, it's not going to come through one pass in the book. It's not going to come from watching, like a few podcasts. It's going to come from some years of work, right? Like
Yeah, I
even
know. I
even
know I
me,
still
dude.
haven't created the abundance mindset. I still
Got it.
haven't
Look,
created a lot of options.
like to sort of help you understand what's involved here. Even me, I wrote the book. I am the unplugged alpha. Like I'm that guy. I still
Hmm.
have to I still have to pause from time to time and think to myself, okay, if I'm going to respond this way, that's going to look like shit. So I need to do it this way. sort of thing, or if there's a conversation or there's some sort of disagreement. It doesn't happen that often, but when it does, I have to sort of course correct, because what we're all going to do is we're all going to revert back to our plugged in condition. And we're all going to want to plug back into the matrix, do what we've been told to do our entire lives, comply, happy wife, happy life, just be a nice guy, nod our heads when they start talking bullshit about how that's not fair. And if men can do it, then women should too, because that's what we've been told to do. Right. So you have to constantly remind yourself. And one of the best ways, guys, I'll tell you this right now, one of the best ways that you can get good at this is do it while you're dating, do it while you're spinning plates, do it while you're dealing with more women, because you're more often than not just dealing with text messaging back and forth. Make sure as you're looking at the text thread that she is in your frame. She's not telling you where you're going to go on the date. You're telling her where we're going to go on the date and at what time. And if you like her in that black dress that you saw in that one picture, you tell her to wear the black dress, because that's what a dominant leader does. And that's truthfully what women want. Like they want to enter your frame. So it's a good practice to start to get used to. See what I'm saying?
It's really hard to kill the beta, but I want to thank you and really Rollo too so much, because I use so much of the stuff in your books, and
Good.
I also did a lot of things right in that relationship with like dread game and
How old
competition
are you?
anxiety. And
How
I'm
old are you?
23.
Oh, you got a long way to go. Don't worry about chicks too much. Chase excellence.
Yeah, I know.
All
Thanks,
right,
Rich.
buddy.
Thank you for all you're doing. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Take care, buddy. Hey guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that short clip. If you did, consider supporting the creation of content by checking out my supplement line. Pinned in the top comment below of this video in the comments, there's a link to the unpluggedalpha.com/shop. When you click through, you'll be able to land over here, and the entire lineup is broken down by category that it performs best in: estrogen metabolism, fat burning, your foundational essentials for health, immune health, performance, and testosterone support. If you check out with coupon code ALPHA10, you'll get 10% off on your first order. There's also the option to use the subscribe and save model, where regular shipments will be sent over to you on a regular basis, and that gives you a little bit of a discount, and your supplement facts are always broken down over here. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome day. And again, check out that link. It's pinned in the top comment below in this video. Peace out.